is from Chicago, so we just up and down from each other. To leave any house was to smell the scent, yes. Burnt flesh scent hanging noxious in the air. And to leave any house was to know the order. Burnt flesh hanging like death in the air. I say, yes. Burnt flesh hanging like death in the air. And to know the order was to know where death came from. Yes, packing house, slaughterhouse, burning flesh blues, spreading the news about death. Yes, spreading the news, burning flesh, spreading the news about death. Yes, about death. And can smell it in springtime, can smell it in summertime, can smell it 7 days a week, singeing air. In autumn time, in winter time, all the time, in winter time, all the time, anytime. Burnt flesh hanging. I say, burnt flesh hanging. Burnt flesh hanging as death in the air. Burnt flesh hanging like death in the air. Burnt flesh hanging like death in the air. And Big Tom was a black nigger man, cold and black. I said Big Tom was a black nigger man, black, steel flesh. And he stood like a gladiator, soaked in animal blood, bits of flesh, wringing wet. I say he stood at the center of death, buzzards hovering, swinging his hammer called death. 260 workdays, I say, swinging his hammer named death. Big Tom, he was a black packing house man. 30 years, I say, Tom was a black packing house man. Loved them years and swang his hammer like old John Henry, pounding nails. I say he swang that hammer 20 years, crushing skulls of cows and pigs, screaming fear, screaming fear. The man underneath slit their throats 20 years. I say the man underneath slit their throats. Big Tom was apprentice for 10 long years, watching death. I say Tom was apprentice for 10 long years, smelling death. Was helper to a fat white man who got slow. I say he was helper to a fat white man who swung a hammer till he couldn't do it no more. So he taught Big Tom how to kill with a hammer. I say he taught Big Tom how to kill. And 20 years of killing is a lot to bring home. I say 20 years of killing is a lot to bring home. And drinking too much gin and whiskey can make a gentleman blow, don't you know? I say drinking too much gin and whiskey can make a good man, sure enough, blow, don't you know? Big Tom beat his wife after killing all day, his 6 children too. I say Tom beat his wife after killing all day, young children too. Beat them so awful bad, he beat them right out their shoes, screaming blues. I say he beat them so awful bad, he made a red-eyed, hungry alley rat spread the news about blues these black blues people was paying. Couldn't even bite them cause of the dues these black blues people was paying. Big Tom killed 6 men, maimed a couple of hundred, never served a day. I say Big Tom killed 6 men, maimed a couple of hundred, never in jail one day. The figures could have been higher, but the smart ones, they ran away. I say the number that was maimed or dead could have been higher, but the smart ones, they ran away. Saved from the graveyard another day, the smart ones, yes, they ran away. Big time working all day, 30 years, sweating heavy. Big time swinging his hammer, all right, 20 summers out of love. Big time killing for pay, 20 autumns out of need. Big time dealing out murders like a houseman in the pain yards out of false pride. Big time drinking heavy, laughing loose in taverns. Big time loose in black communities. Death fights, cancels life, and big time, he just keep on stumbling all right, and 20 years of killing is too much to bring home to love. I say 20 years of killing is too much to bring home to love. And drinking heavy gin and whiskey can make a strong man fall in mud. I say, drinking too much gin and whiskey can make a good man have bad blood. Don't you know? Can make a strong man have bad blood. Big black Tom, big black Tom. Big black Tom was a cold nigger man, strong and black. I say Big Black Tom was a cold nigger man, hard, still fresh. And he stood like a gladiator, soaked in animal blood, bits of flesh, soaking wet. Stood at the center, in the middle of death, sweating bulges, swinging his hammer, called death, 260 work days, 20 years, like old John Henry. I say, he was swinging his hammer named Death. He was swinging his hammer named Death. He was swinging his hammer named Death. Out here where the sky grows wings, the land is broad beneath it. And everywhere I go, deep space holds me within. Writing poems while cruising at 70 miles per hour on the Pennsylvania Turnpike can be spiritual fun if you don't run into anyone. Catch the blues song of wind in your bleeding human hands. Wrap it around your strong, bony fingers. Then turn it into a soft-nosed pen and sit down and write the love poems of your life. The other brandy sweet night, I dreamed we was kissing so hard and good, you sucked my tongue right on out my trembling mouth. And I had to sew it back in order to tell you about it. I'll read a couple of new ones, then we'll do these last two, and then I'll leave. I have a good friend. His name is Oliver Jackson. This is part of my new book, and it's called The View from Skates in Berkeley. And this is a poem about Berkeley, looking at San Francisco. And Oliver Jackson is a great painter, really great painter, and a great friend of mine. And when I go to San Francisco, I always get with him, and we sit in Berkeley and look out at this view that I'm writing about here. The View from Skates in Berkeley for Oliver Jackson, homeboy and painter. The clouds were mountains that day behind the real mountains, sideways from San Francisco, across the tossed bay. The beauty we saw from skates in Berkeley was real there. stretched out behind sailboats, the wind-driven waves bucking like rodeo horses carrying cowboys, breaking across the foaming gray water like sand dunes, rippling across an empty expanse of desert. Mirrored and beautiful, here near sunset, we looked out through the wide open windows and took in the view. Unbroken from here, under sinking sunlight, the hills' breast, the gulls resembling small planes banked over the waves, searching for fish they snapped up in their beaks under fleecing clouds, streaming up high, crossing the jet stream. The prickling mist hung low over Angel Island like the day after too many drinks fogged up your head in an afternoon sunlight on a day further back in cobwebs than you care to remember, but there anyway as a still life you clung to once, deep in a long-gone memory, the skyline changing now, behind the tumbling clouds, the architecture trembling through the mist of the shining pearl by the bay, grown up from split-open gums of the land like chipped shark teeth or tombstones leaning white and bright into the light, shimmering like the friendship of this meeting is shimmering here because we knew we were what we always thought we were, homeboys on top of our games, laughing like joyous paint in sprayed mist. The fog overhead hung low over Oakland, thick as a mattress where you laid down your head full of dreams and painted images in full view of the Bay Bridge, stretching like one of your elegant lines through our view here. Outside Skate's window, the sun plunging like one of your painted faces into rabbit wash of gray waves, the wind slapping salt tears across our faces, creased as the American flag is streaked with a rainbow of colors here where we were what we always thought we were on this day when the moment heaved up the water, surging like our dreams, and we were riding those bucking horse waves, breaking across the dune-kicking waters, mirrored and beautiful. We were strong as we always knew we would be, our view unbroken from here in Skates under the dazzling sunlight of our dreams, streaming across the jet stream, high up in the turbulent afternoon of our heads, light and luminous. We were homeboys, Oliver, on this shimmering, rare day filled with flight. Homeboys, Oliver, on this shimmering, rare day filled with flight. I want to read this last piece and then we'll close. This is a poem for my wife and son and what happens when a child comes. Change. Used to be I would be laying there in Margaret's lap, alongside her sweet, soft thighs on Sunday mornings, sipping champagne, yes, sucking on her soft, open lips, drinking in the love from her moist brown eyes. Now, Porter's there, giggling 20-month-old squirming squeals, a tiny spitting image of me, his eyes kissing everyone, including me. And me, well, y'all, I'm sitting here, apart from them, alone, hungry, in my favorite chair, watching television, and watching them, watching me. This is for Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry, who's my homeboy and my homeboy. And it all came together on the Mississippi River, Chuck. You there riding the rocking blue sound waves, duck walking the poetry of hoodoo down. And you were the mojo hand of juju crowing. Yes, the gut bucket news. Running it down for 2 records sold to make a penny. 2 records sold to make a penny. Back then in those first days, majoring in mouth. A long gone lean lightning rod you were, Chuck, picking the edge, charging the wires of songs, huckabucking roll over Beethoven, playing devil's music till white devils stole it from you and called it their own. Rock and roll, devils like Elvis and Pat Boone, who never dog walked back in the alley with you, and Bo Diddley, Little Richard, and the Fat Man from New Orleans. All y'all slapping down songs meaner than the smell of toe jam and rot gut whiskey breath. Back there in them back rooms of Throwdown. Back there where your song lyrics grew like fresh corn. You, Chuck Berry, an authentic American genius of barbecue sauce and deep fried catfish licks. Jack Salmon guitar, honky-tonk rhythms. I say honky-tonk rhythms, jangling warm, vibrating sounds, choo-chooing train whistles, fiddling and smoking down the tracks of the blues. Motivating through Little Queenie, Maybelline, decked out in red on Sarah and Penny. Alarms rolling off your whipping tongue in the words of Johnny B. Good. Yes, Chuck, you clued us in back to the magical hookup of ancestors. Their seamless souls threading your breath, their blood in your sluicing strut, and too much monkey business. The reason for their deaths, cold and searing, your spirit reaching down to the bones of your roots, deep in the show-me blood of Missouri soil. Your pruned hawk look, profiling. Your pruned hawk look, profiling, where you rode your white Cadillac of words, cruising the highways of language, breathing inside your cadences. You shaped and wheeled the music, duck walking the length of the stage. Duck walk your zinging metaphors of everyday slip and slide and strut, vibrating your hummingbird wings. Your strumming style guitar, the cutting edge of you were what we were, the cutting edge, and you were what we was to become, and you was what was to become. So, hail, hail, Chuck Berry, root doctor of rock and roll, authentic American hoodoo genius, tonguing deep in river syllables. Hail, hail, Chuck Berry, laying down the motivating juju, great American mojo. Hail, hail, root doctor, spirit of American rock and roll. Hail, hail, I say hail, hail, Chuck Berry, root doctor of rock and roll.
No, I'm not going to sing now. The first piece was Gershwin's Prelude, number 2, and the second piece I done was a little thing I wrote on the way down here this evening, a little thing entitled, And If You Believe That. There's a little thing I wrote a little while back, a few years ago, called Purple Garden. I'll close this one out with a few things from my roots, which began on the west side of Chicago.